Hey, hi guys, welcome to this new channel. We're going to review Pega PRCP. This is the version 8.5, the one that we're going to work today. So basically, we're going through all the steps from the scratch to create an application and working with that, right? So for this example, we're going to create a sales application. So let's get started. So the first step in order to create your application, you only have to go to the Play Platform application and then click on New Application and then open up the wizard and we will have different options to work with. So, well, basically the only option that we have here is built from scratch. So we're not going to use any framework, but depending on the version of Pega that you're using, you will be able to use different frameworks, right? So we're going to continue. These we have different UIs or UI kits. These are the new one that Pega has. Actually, they're very flexible at the time to build things inside of Pega about UI UX. It will give you a more friendly UI UX, and you will be able to modify and give you more capabilities to create something beautiful with Cosmos. But for this example, we're not going to enter much detail on that. So for this example, we're going to use the traditional UI kit. So we select it. So here, in order to name our application, we're going to, because it will be a retail store, so we're going to use like the name of our channel, sales stores. So then here you notice that we have another option for the advanced configuration. This is when you're trying to implement some framework or if you want to just choose the default application structure. So here's how you're able to create the organization name, the divisions, and the unit. So the different layers that the application has. So this is, we're not going to enter to detail of this. We're going to review later on of the advanced topics. So we're going to click save, just leave it like that. I'm sorry. I'm going to click cancel. So here apparently we are not able to use Pega to name the application. So we go to create the application. And maybe it's because for all the names that the classes already have, so probably the system get into confusing on this. So it take a little bit. So we're going to create our user. This will be the administrator for this page, and we're going to put tutorials SB again. And here we're going to change to order. It give you in order to give us more flexibility. We're going to add it. So the user identifier enter. Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. There we go. So basically we have our provisional password over here. I will copy this. And we're going to click done. In order to verify where their user is creator, we can go to records, we can click organization and then the operator ID. We'll be able to find it over here. And as you see, my operators is here. So in order to change the password to make it more personalized or to change the security, you only have to go here under your operator ID and go to the security tab. So here we're going to update password, even though you notice that we have selected the option to first password change on next login. So we're going to check it out that real quick. So we're going to log off and we're going to log back in. My God. Holy moly. So we're going to log out with our new credentials just to check it out, the new user that we just created or add to the application. And I'm going to paste the password that it was provided by the system. So if you notice here, we request the current password and we're going to choose another one, the new one that our application will have. So there it goes. Now I'm logged in as the author for this application. So basically the author capability is like the same for the dev. So we're going to start building our application now. So we're going to wait a little bit. So here's how Pega looks like. So basically here we have all the information about the application layer. Here we'll be able to see the case types, the data types, so the channels, the users, and all that, right? So in order to start working with this, I will change to Dev Studio because Dev Studio offer you more capabilities at the time to building your application. So then we're going to start. Just to talk about the application that we're going to build, it will be something simple just to show a few examples of the Pega rules and all the capability that Pega has. So basically we'll have three stages. The first one will be the sales order that actually will contain some procedures there. Then will be the fulfillment and then the delivery, right? So very simple. So in order to start creating our application and make this, turn this to live, so we're going to choose the case types, right? The case type is basically where we define our work object, right? Is where all the process and steps. In this case, we're going to create a case type, create order, right? Or order, it will be better. So here we click submit. So here is how the application looks like. Then we have the stages, as I mentioned before, that is just like a milestone for your case, right? So as I explained before, we're going to build three different milestones. The first one will be the sales order or the order creation. That is where we capture the order, we verify the payment information, we review the order, and then we're going to have another milestone that will be the fulfillment where all will be validated, right? Will be routed to a different queue, a different person in order to start working on this. Once that is already validated and verified that it is all correctly filled it up, so we're going to move to the next stage that will be the delivery, right? So we're going to select here. So here we're going to start creating the stages, right? We can build different stages within the case type. These ones are the main ones. I'm going to move this real bit. So this one will be the create order stage, and this one will be the fulfillment or the review stage. And we have this one that will be our last stage, that will be the delivery one. So in order to make this as a stage the last one, so the only thing that we need to do is like here, we so in order to make this step the last one, we only have to go to the stage settings here on the right, and here we're going to select the status that we will have when the case reach this stage. So this will be um, processing delivery. We're going to create a field name for this new status. So once they create it, we only have to click here, say, we'll have a bunch of error because, oh no, there it goes. So here, as you notice, it turns to like a red line, right? So that means that this is where the case life, or the, sorry, the case type, or the case life cycle ends, right? So here we're going to, so here in order to that the stages move to automatically, when all the process finish from this stage and move to the next one, we have to select these settings over here that is automatically move to next stage. Because if we leave it wait for user action, so basically we'll complete it until and we save it, we will see that it doesn't have the shape like the arrow shape that give you the continuity. So that means that it will be resolved until the user do something, right? So we don't want that, because the main purpose of Pega is like to automate everything as possible, right? To reduce the workflow and reduce um, all the work that a user have to make. And for that reason, we have Pega made it for us, right? So once that we have the stages, we're going to change this in order to don't have any issue. So we're going to start creating the process, right? The first process, as I mentioned before, will be the create order. So we're going to save it again. So we're going to open this process in order to explore more in detail about the rule. This is a flow rule. So this, as the name indicated, so it's telling you where the case will go, right? The different path that we select here, or the automated path that we select here, um, will define the course of the case itself, right? So once that we have here, this is the rule itself, so we can modify, we can add some shapes. This is the assignment shapes. More likely, this is used for collect information for the user, right? So we can have a lot of sections here. We can add some forms, some text input, some drop downs, all that elements in here in order to like capture the information from the user. So then we have different shapes within the flow. We have a decision shape that this is used in order to this is work based on when conditions or a decision table, right, or a decision tree. So we'll be able to open it up and see the options. So as you notice here, we have different options. We have a map value, decision tree, decision table. These three of here are the most used, right? This decision table is like a matrix of condition that it will have an outcome, depends of the condition that we set up. And this fork is the most basic one. So this is used right here for basically for each of the connectors. We can select a when rule. You can see here the different condition types that we have. We can select the when rule. We can add the when rule here. And on the other connector, for example, this one will be or else, right? So basically, if this condition doesn't um, go through, it will go for this way, right? Cool. Basically, this is the star shape where the flow starts, and this is the gain shape. There is a meaning of that. So now that we're see that, so I'm going to delete this over here. So in order to the assignment shape works, we have the this is the flow action. We're going to save here real quick. So we're going to add the assignment one more time because for some reason it's not creating the flow action rule. So here in this connector, we'll be able to create the flow action. I'm going to save it. Here we'll be able to define the flow action for our assignment. So in this case will be the create. Um, well, in this case will be capture order. So in order to create the flow action or any rule, and when you see this text input, we can only click on the target and then it will open up to in order to create a new rule. So on the rule creation, we have to take in consideration um, some settings here. For example, the context of the application that you're going to save this rule is very important because if we're, for example, I save it on UIKit or Pega platform, at the time they're using this rule, this application we're not able to see that, right? This is the hierarchy of classes. As you see, the last one is the case type. Then we have our work tool, that is the general class where if, for example, we have different case types, if we save a rule on the work class, we'll be able to see it in all the case that we have. If I save this rule here, and just imagine that I have another case type, we're not able to see this rule on the other case types. So this is the rule set where we're going to add it. So we have different type of rule set. In the more advanced topic, we'll go into review the different rule set that we have and how to create it and the rules, the application versioning, and as well the rule stack. So here we're going to click create and open. And this is the or flow action, right? Here is where we define the section that this assignment will have. So we're going to create it. Going to click the target to create the section. Again, we check that everything is correct. Create and open. Okay, we click save to finishing up, and now my role is created. So here we're going to click save again, just to make the changes effective. On the action, we can define pre-processing action and post-processing action, right? As well, we can hide the default section buttons, that is submit or cancel. We can customize the action buttons and labels. So basically, here we are able to control and manage what this assignment is going to do, right? Which section we're going to show, which data we want to have and map, if it's the case. So we're going to click save and we're going to go back for our a floor. So here we only have to use this ID number in order to reference the flow action. We're going to click submit, we're going to click save, and we'll be able to see the changes. Just one second. Here we're going to change this and select capture order. So now that we have all that set up, so we can go and work with the section. The section rule is basically the view of our application, right? This you can work with a lot of stuff here. We can work with a lot of layout. But in order to maximize the productivity on this, I don't like to use this wizard. I would like to click on convert to full section editor, and here we'll be able to see something more like HTML, right? Of course, you can add your HTML code here, but Pega utilize some special tags in order to make and render this HTML. So we're going to see that on the advanced topic for this, of course. So here, this is the layout. This is like the container of the section. Here, if we open it up, we can change the settings for the layout. We have different type of layout. We have stack that is basically the name indicated, right? For example, if we put an element here, just give you text input. We're going to drag and drop text input. This is the easiest things ever. You don't have to write code to build your section. So you notice that the um, the behavior of this layout is like stack, right? So then if we can change it to inline, we can do it as well. You see, it's changed completely the behavior of the all elements that we have here. We have the inline grid double. If we want to use another one, layout, we can select it here. So we have a different one. We have 3070. So let me show you how it looks like. So you notice that this element is on 30 pixels and this one is on 70. So here you can play it around with all the layouts that this has. So, but the most common use is this one that we have here is for the recent Pega. I just put it here just to make have an easy access. So here we're going to work with inline. And this text input is, as the name indicates, we use it for get the data from the input of the user, right? We have different elements here. So in order to build up your application, we're going to create some um, elements that will help us to create the form to capture the order. So another cool thing that Pega has is actually that you have a good documentation resources for in order to create or in order to if we want to know what is for example data type. You can go to academy.pega.com, you can type data type or any topic that you're interested in, and you're able to see some models, some information about that. So in this case, we have as well a lot of certifications that you can take. For example, we have the system architects. So this is the Pega Certified System Architect, the first certification that you could get. And if you click here, you will be able to see the complete course for free, right? You only need to create, in order to track your progress, of course, you only need to create an account in Pega. And this is not a sponsor, so basically it's just I want to tell you about this is a great thing that Pega has that is have a good support and good resources. So going back to the topic, we're going to create our data type and all our data instance for our application. And we're going to create the properties that we're going to use, the data that we're going to use. This is similar to create tables in an SQL. So, but with a more user-friendly like, right? So this is basically in Pega this is the definition of data type, right? So this is like all the collections of case data that you can provide, right, to work on. So just imagine that each data type is like your table, and inside on that table you'll be able to use this as a source to map some properties. You can save the data on the data types. It's just, as I mentioned before, it's basically SQL, right? But with a very user-friendly interface. So we're going to go back here. In order to start creating our data models and data type, we only have to click here on data type, click here, and add a new data type. So here we have to create a different data types for each entity that we will have to work on this. Remember that we're working on sales applications, so we have to build a data type for the customer information. We have to build a data type for the receive. We have to as well for an item that the user select, the customers as mentioned before, and the shipment address, the payment information, all that will be a storage in data type, right? Just to start with, we're going to create the customer data type. In the description, we will put like, will storage the customer information. Wait until the data type is created. If you see here, we'll be able to have our data type, but we don't, so far we don't have any instance, any properties created. So in order to do that, first we only have to create a local source, right? What this means? This means is like it will take a space on the Pega database in order to. So first things first, we have to change some settings on the data type. The first thing on the class of the data type, we have to change the ID, right, for each record. So because sometimes if you create an ID or if you think in put your own ID is sometimes is a little bit pain in the ass. You have to make that this ID increments every time that new instance is created. So in order to avoid that, I just use the generate unique ID that actually Pega do it for you, right? So for each data instance that is created, it will generate an unique ID, right? Without you worrying about to do all this stuff. So once that we have the ID created, we're going to click refresh. So we're going to create the local data source. If you notice here, this is will be our key, right, for a table. So here we're going to click submit. First, I would like to explain for each data type that is created three data pages. In Pega, we use the data pages with different purposes, but what these things do is, for example, this returns a list that you can use it on a table, on another period grid. This, you can use it to save data on the data type itself through the data page. And this one is where you can reference in order to, for example, you want to create a property or you want to make this as a property source, you can do it. So here we're going to click submit in order to create the data sources. We're going to click close. And if you notice here, we have our little table here. You notice that database icon here. So that's cool. That is how to create a table within Pega. So now we're going to create our properties that we're going to use for the user. So in order to create our property, we can click add fields. So we can select the field name. In this case, we'll start with the first name. So we're going to click save, and if we take a look of the class, we'll see that our property is already created here. Going to click data model property, and we have our first property. Yeah. So I will do the rest in order to don't boring you, creating me property by property. We'll see. So once that we have all the properties created, we can put some dummy data here so we can add records. For example, we can put Homer Simpson. And here the description like customer or the company, I don't know, some dummy data. So here we can select the primary address, secondary address, and blah blah blah. So basically here, if you have a CSV, you can import it and this in order to, for example, you want to create some CEDAs or some dummy data, you can do it for testing and you can import some that CSV, the comma separated value files, and this will fill up all this information for you. So that's all for today videos. I hope you like it. And if you like it, please subscribe and in order to keep doing content like this. Thank you. Bye.